Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This presentation is about an introduction to econometrics, where we will learn following basic points. First of all, we will introduce what is econometrics, then what is the basic objective of econometrics, and based on these objectives, we will explain a real-world application which is based on the consumption hypothesis. And it is also important to understand what is the difference between economist and econometrician, because in this world most of the economists think that they are um, doing the same work what econometrician can do. However, which is not true, because economists are just think about the most famous relationship, like among the variable, like consumption is function of income, and the theory or the economist does not take other factor into this relationship. However, econometrician add other factors like inflation, interest rate, and other factors to the model for the accurate approximation of the econometric model or the theory. And finally, the most important point of this presentation is also that the software does not matter for the estimation of econometric model, because in this world most of researchers think that if they are using the latest software, then it will be some they are doing some remarkable work. However, if we compare uh, result of different software, then there will be no difference among these estimated parameters. First, first of all, what is econometrics? Econometrics is combination of three subjects: economic theory. First, we take economic theory from economics, and then we construct econometric model based on the theoretic mathematics, and then we apply the statistical tool to understand the relationship among variable according to economic theory. Hence, according to Fisher, the econometrics is combination of economics, mathematics, and statistics. And if either of the subject is um, not taken into account, then you might lead to misleading inferences. The basic objective of econometrics is um, to produce a quantitative economic statement that explain the behavior of the variable either we have seen or for cost, or the behavior that we haven't seen, or both. It means we have not predicted for the future. uh, how to The important step is now how to get the objective of econometrics. First, we have to take economic theory and then take statistical data from the different sources, and then apply the um accurate mathematical model according to theory. If theory is considering or undertaking the concept of time series, and then we apply the cross-sectional econometric to that theory, then the inferences will be uh, not reliable, and vice versa. If we have theory of cross section and we apply mathematics of time series, then it will give you misleading inferences. Furthermore, the fourth step is uh, actually we have to know how which tell us to apply the estimation theory to the statistical data, and how decide whether this application has been successful or not. Because we have to apply different statistical tests, and if these tests are representing the there is no econometric problem in the estimated model, then we have a solid relationship among the variables. For the example, we have taken the example of consumption function, which is well-known hypothesis, and according to consumption function, the consumption is function of income, where C is consumption and it is dependent variable, Y is income and it is independent variable, where C naught and small c are the estimated parameter, and epsilon is the random error. Now we have to see that if the level of income increases, then the consumption will increases. But we have also add some graphical explanation of this, so that we can analyze it in more appropriate way. The intercept, which is C naught, imply the level of consumption when an individual have no income. Of course, in real world, most of the individual, they are either student and not doing work, but they are consuming things, which mean the consumption of those individuals does not depend on the level of income. This is what we call autonomous consumption, and which is represented in econometric with the C naught plus small c. The small c is called a marginal propensity to consume, which means as the level of income increases, the proportion of consumption increases. As the level of income increases, the level of consumption will increase. This is what we call marginal propensity to consume. Margin from the income, which help to increase the consumption. We have for this real world application, we have data set of UK consumption function, and we just are performing it here. We go into the data set and we want to test this theory of consumption function hypothesis with the real world data of UK consumption function, and if we apply the regression to this data set, then dependent variable Y and independent variable X and where we want our output in this and now we have to click OK. This is the output of these variable. We have not included another variable, inflation or prices or prices, and we just want to explain what is the overall relationship among these variables. The important thing is to understand it is time series data, year 1957 and 58, and the data is quarterly, where first quarter where consumption is 5011 and the level of income is 5657, and similarly goes on. The data set goes to the 1957 75. Now we have to interpret these and estimated parameters. The intercept is 1520, which means 1520 level of consumption when an individual have no income. This is what we call autonomous consumption. And autonomous consumption does not depend on the income, or you can also interpret it when all other variable remains constant, the level of income an individual consume is 1520 units or rupees or dollar, whatever the unit of these variable. Similarly, what we have interpreted the slope parameter C0 as a marginal propensity to consume. The value of marginal propensity to consume is 0.65, which means approximately 65% of the income is used as consumption, while keeping all other factors constant, or while keeping all other variable constant, because we have not added all other variable. This means we have 65% of income goes into the consumption. If one level of unit, or we can say that if 1000 $1000 increases your salary increase by $1000, then the consumption will increase by 653 units, and all other will be gone to the saving. Now just I want to show that the software does not matter, and we will repeat this exercise in a different software use. Like you can use any other software as well to check this. We have quarterly data, and the quarter start from one quarter of first month of 1957, and it goes to fourth quarter of first of 1975. Now just write data and copy paste the data we have estimated for, and just paste it here and check if it is correctly pasted. Now it is not pasted correctly, therefore we have to use other ways. No. Yes, we want to delete and add a frequency. Again add, we want fourth quarter of it, and add fourth quarter of it, and now add again the data. Check, now it is fourth quarter of the 1957. Just close it and just regression, where consumption is dependent variable, C is constant, and income is independent variable. Now we have autonomous consumption 1520 units, and the result remain the same as we have already done in Excel. Similarly, the value of the slope parameter is 0.65, which means 65%, and in this case also 65%, which means what I want to show this that the software does not matter for the estimation of econometric model. The basic however the result could be different if there is multimodality in the likelihood function of the dataset. If there is multimodality in the likelihood of the dataset, then the estimated parameter could vary. We will discuss this issue in later videos. Similarly, not only the estimated parameter, but the standard errors and t-value and the p-value will also remain the same. For the intercept, the value of standard error is 146, and here the 146. Similarly, t-value and similarly p-value is quite less, but it shows you that e power minus 16, which means 0.00016 times 0, and then this number will start. However, in e views it will just give you first 5 points, which is equivalent. Similarly, the value of r square is 9.94, 94%. Here the r square is 94%. Adjusted r square is 94.9464, and here the adjusted r square standard error of the regression 212, and again the standard error of the regression 1212. Similarly, the f value is 1325. The f value is 1325. Similarly, all other estimated statistics among the Excel and the eView will remain the same. So, hence we can conclude that the software does not matter for the estimation of econometric model. And second, the most important thing what I want to explain, that what is the difference between economist and econometrician is epsilon. The epsilon is the difference between economist and econometrician. Economists just say that consumption is function of income, and they just regress y on consumption. However, there are many other factors which are not included in this regression model, and all goes into this error term. And econometrician, what they do, what econometrician do to explorate or find out different variable from epsilon or the error term into the model to explain the accurate picture of the consumption. All other variables which are not included in the model are the part of the error term, and if these variables are excluded from the error term and added into the model, then the model will be the more reliable and give you the more accurate picture of the consumption function. And this epsilon is actually the difference between the economist and econometrician. Similarly, now the value of the intercept is 1520. The autonomous consumption is 1520 units is the level of consumption for the individual or over the time for the consumption function. But the value of C is 65%, which means if the level of income increases from this point to this point, then the 65% level of the consumption will increase. And similarly, this is the constant line or the linear relationship, so this proportion remains the same. Either it is 1000 to 2000 and it is 9000 to 10,000. The marginal propensity to consume remains the same for different individuals. Either they are below what we can say below the poverty line and above the poverty line, and they have same level of marginal propensity to consume, but this is in reality it is not true. Similarly, there are other factors which can explain the consumption function, like savings, which is the remaining part of this income, and also the interest rate is an important factor for the consumption function. If the level of interest rate is high, then usually people deposit this as a saving, and they get return from those saving and will increase their consumption. Similarly, there are many other factors like wealth, saving, and a huge of other factors which can be added into this model. The conclusion of this short video is that econometrics is combination of economics, mathematics, and statistics. Usually what most of researchers do, they feed their data into the system and just get result, and either and they interpret like this percent to this percent. If one variable is increasing over the time, then other variable is increasing by this proportion. However, which is not a true research. Rather, we have to make a compatibility between economic theory, mathematical model, and statistics. And if there is if the compatibility between these three subjects does not hold, then we cannot say that the model is more reliable. Similarly, for the reliable estimation, we have to know how the mathematics, either mathematical model, mathematical derivation of the economic theory is supporting to theory or not, and on base of these mathematical derivation, the statistical model is estimated. And the most another conclusion from this short video is that the software does not matter for the estimation of econometric model. However, if there is multimodality in the likelihood function, then the result could be different, because different algorithm in the different software could lead to the different global point, and hence you will have um, have a have a different estimated parameters at different location of the likelihood function. This is what I have proved in the that there the likelihood function of the financial time series is are having multimodality in the likelihood function. Therefore, they have multiple estimates for the same data set, and because most of the algorithm have limitation. And this is what thank you. This is, if you have any question, you can ask in comment. Thank you.